Elijah Wood praises Hunt for Gollum movie script and says the franchise's creative band is back together. The Lord of the Rings spin-off, The Hunt for Gollum, has a great script and production team behind it. Middle-earth movie star Elijah Wood has reassured fans, seemingly hinting at his own involvement. While some have debated the need for a Smeagol spin-off, especially after mixed reactions to the Hobbit movie trilogy, Wood has piled praise on plans for The Hunt for Gollum, while still stopping short of fully confirming he's part of the cast. Speaking at DesertCon, Wood said that he had been kept closely informed on the movie, which will reunite the Lord of the Rings director and scriptwriters Peter Jackson, Fran Walsh, and Philippa Boyens with Gollum actor Andy Serkis, who is set to both star in and direct the film. "I know a great deal about it," Wood said. "I've read the script, it's really good. There are some wonderful people involved. The thing that is so exciting is that it is really getting the creative band back together." Except that that's not really true, is it, Elijah? Where's your lovely face? There it is. It's not really true because you are missing one fairly significant person in this concoction here, and that is Tolkien. What you're doing is you're taking a small section of the appendices and something that's briefly mentioned in The Lord of the Rings, and you're trying to expand that into a full film. And for the life of me, I have no idea why you think this is a good idea. Well, not you personally. Your involvement is limited, if not entirely unknown at this point. I don't know why anyone thinks this is a good idea, specifically Peter Jackson. They've done this before with The Hobbit. The best things about those movies were the parts that were taken directly from the Hobbit book. The things that didn't really work was when they tried to expand on things that hadn't been covered in that narrative. When they were trying to include things and elaborate on ideas and introduce new characters and broaden kind of certain themes and project their own stuff into it, that's where it fell apart. And that was when they had like a fully fledged book to adapt. Now they only have a small section of the appendices. How is it going to work? How? I don't know. I have a lot of faith in Peter Jackson. I think he's a fantastic director. I think those 3 movies, of which this fantastic cover here, this fantastic poster, really demonstrates how good those movies were. Kind of takes you right back to the early 2000s and how much of an impact those movies made. I think he did a fantastic job with them. Fran Walsh, Philippa Boyens, I think they did a great job with writing this thing. I think the whole team did an amazing job, but I think what they did with an incredible piece of writing, with great source material, and they could use that source material and kind of add their own strengths to refine it in the form of a movie. But they themselves didn't have to actually write and produce more narrative. They were working with something that was already there. They were cutting it down as opposed to trying to build it up. What you're doing with the Hunt for Gollum is you're taking something that's very limited and you're trying to expand it, which won't really work. I can't see how it'll work. Anyway, the brain trust behind The Lord of the Rings, Fran, Peter, Philippa, they're heavily involved. That's not the extent of the brain trust behind Lord of the Rings. There is another person there who you're seemingly forgetting to mention. And then the same production designers, it's going to be shot in New Zealand, so it is going to carry with it such continuity with so many people who are part of The Lord of the Rings, and I'm really excited about that. It feels like getting that old machine up and running again with all the right people. Oh, man, Elijah. Look, I kind of get it. Like, he's optimistic, he's happy about it. Bless him for that. He's allowed to be optimistic about it. It may be really good. I literally have zero idea. Maybe they'll pull something out of nothing here. Maybe they'll make a really good story. But to me, I'm really tired of seeing them return to Lord of the Rings, or any kind of existing piece of intellectual property, and trying to kind of build onto it and trying to add new flavors and elaborate on things, which the original creators, didn't really provide for. When Tolkien came up with The Hunt for Gollum, that was a very small portion in a much bigger work. At no point did I can't imagine that he expected that this itself could be enough to fill a whole huge, like a whole movie. Like, this isn't, it seems to be like a very, kind of like a very unremarkable portion of the story. And if you're going to try and make it remarkable, I feel like you're going to be dipping away from what actually made The Lord of the Rings significant, which was that central narrative. Wood is yet to formally state that he is reprising his role as Frodo Baggins for the movie, although his involvement is now widely expected, following the recent surprise confirmation from Gandalf actor Sir Ian McKellen that the characters of Gandalf and Frodo both appear in the film. Okay, they've done this before. They brought them both back for The Hobbit. And again, I mean, I didn't actually mind the Hobbit movies. I thought they were fine. I really liked the portions that were adapting directly from The Hobbit. And they didn't feel like a kind of fan fiction element. I really liked the things that felt like they came from the book. That really worked well for me. And if they can do that with... I don't see how they can do that with this, because there is so little that seems to come directly from the book. Anyway, they brought Ian McKellen back for The Hobbit, and that was fine. And he was a bit miserable because he was acting on a green screen and he didn't have his co-stars around them because, Jackson was trying to rely more on the kind of digital stuff. And I mean, Ian McKellen was old at that point. Trying to bring him back now and trying to position him as the earlier Gandalf, this just seems like it's going to be a whole bunch of weird AI trying to make like characters or actors look younger than they are, and it's going to be very off-putting, which is what it has been whenever people try to do that in movies. I don't know if I like the idea of Ian McKellen coming back. I don't think anyone else should play Gandalf in the same universe. And really, what I'm saying is I think they should just close the universe altogether. Leave it as the movies that already exist, the 6 of them, the 3 fantastic Lord of the Rings and the 3 possible Hobbit movies. That's fine. The Hunt for Gollum is set to chronicle a period between the events of The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, where numerous characters are searching for the all-important ring, previously known to be in Gollum's possession. It's filler, man. It's filler. Even The Hobbit, it felt weird. It felt like weird filler to kind of create this prologue and then to force it after you've watched The Lord of the Rings, to force it before it. It felt very uncomfortable watching in a lot of ways because you didn't really understand what the stakes were, or you really knew how everything would play out, and it just felt like 2 separate stories that you were trying to smash together. And now you're trying to kind of add more onto this bloated movie series that you've created. I don't know how it's going to work. When numerous characters are searching for the all-important ring, previously known to be in Gollum's possession. Gandalf is known to be searching for clues as to Gollum's whereabouts, and even enlists the help of fellow Fellowship member Aragorn. Both are attempting to beat the agents of Sauron to discover the ring's location, something glimpsed briefly in the Fellowship of the Ring, with the word Baggins and Shire extracted from Gollum. Yeah, okay, so it seems what you're saying here is that this has already been covered. We don't need to go back to it, thanks. It's hard to imagine anyone other than Ian McKellen and Elijah Wood as Gandalf and Frodo. And indeed, McKellen has said he doesn't like the idea of anyone else in his role. I would agree with that. I don't think the role should be played again in this universe. If they want to remake Lord of the Rings in 20 years, 30 years, that's fine. But, I think what the Lord of the Rings that we have, let it lie. It's phenomenal. It's fantastic. Let it lie. Particularly as both actors appear well informed about the project's progress. And that said, it has now been more than 20 years since audiences first saw both characters sail off from the Grey Havens. What a fantastic moment of closure that you're now digging up out of the grave and parading around. How macabre. At the end of The Return of the King. With Hunt for Gollum set several years prior to this, it remains to be seen whether some form of digital de-aging will be used. Of course it will, and it's going to be really awkward and uncomfortable. Indeed, Legolas actor Orlando Bloom has previously expressed interest in Ursa returning. Of course he has. Though suggested AI would have to come into play. No. Why? Why? Shut up, Orlando. Shut up. We don't need AI. We don't need Legolas. We don't need any of this. To date, only Serkis himself has confirmed he will appear in the film. Although Aragorn actor Viggo Mortensen has said he is also open to returning. The Hunt for Gollum is due to begin filming in New Zealand next year, ahead of its release in 2027. Okay, so you can probably tell I'm not super optimistic about this. Maybe it'll be fantastic. Again, I honestly have a lot of respect for Peter Jackson, for Philippa Boyens, for the whole writing team. I think they did a great job adapting Lord of the Rings, but adaptation is very different to retroactively trying to create a narrative where one doesn't really exist. So, is it going to work? I don't know, it might. But At this point, it seems like a really weird foray back into a world that is already closed and that we've had a really great kind of moment of closure with, and we really don't need to see it reanimated. Not for all the money I make Warner Brothers. I don't just let it go. Anyway, cool. That's it.